Welcome to the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast. I'm your host, Gwendolyn Mitchell, founder and CEO of Moyo Institute and lifelong spiritual seeker and energy worker. Here for thoughtful conversations about health, healing, and happiness by, for, and about Black and African American women. Disclaimer, the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast does not provide medical advice. The opinions, experiences, and insights shared are for informational purposes only. Nothing shared in this podcast is intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. Don't disregard or delay seeking it because of what you've heard on this podcast. Thank you. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to Season 2 of the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast. I'm Gwen Mitchell, also known as Gwen G, your host and founder of the Moyo Institute, a nonprofit organization who's centered on offering heart-centered educational experiences that foster inner peace, happiness, health, and well-being. Also, creativity, connection, and oneness. I'm happy to have with me today Lisa Sims Booth, who is the executive director of the Smith Center for Healing in the Arts. What I'm really excited about this season 2 of our Love Letters podcast, where you'll be having conversations with us or listening to conversations with us on health, healing, and happiness, is that we'll be focusing not only on personal patient journeys, but also on holistic opportunities for families going through this experience. And I'm happy to welcome Lisa. The Smith Center for the Healing and the Arts is the partner with Moyo Institute on the Love Letters Project. And Lisa is the executive director of the Smith Center, a nonprofit health, education, and arts organization in Washington, D.C., whose mission is to develop and promote healing practices that explore physical, emotional, and mental resources that lead to life-affirming changes for people affected by cancer. Lisa, welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be here with you, and I love the partnership we have with you and for Love Letters, and so just excited to talk about all the things today.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Lisa's advocacy journey began when her mother was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in 2003. Navigating her mother's journey drove her to commit to improving this experience for other families going through a similar path. Lisa channeled this sense of purpose and leadership roles at the Milken Institute and the Biden Cancer Initiative. Today, Lisa continues to advocate for cancer patients and their families at Smith Center, DC's only independent nonprofit focused on whole person care for those with cancer and the public. So again, welcome, Lisa, and thank you for being here. And why don't we start by having you fill us in a little bit on your background and how it led you to being a part of this movement.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I will say that I've led many, many lives. I'm a working class kid that grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I don't know how I've really landed here, but here I am. I've led many lives. I've worked in television, I've worked in politics, I've worked in social justice advocacy. I've been able to be around some of the most amazing human beings that are really doing amazing work in this country. I've worked with Reverend Jesse Jackson. I've worked with Marian Wright Edelman. I've worked for others, and I really had a sense of purpose around helping people's lives be better and really wanted to have that kind of impact in some small way. And then my mom's cancer diagnosis really just redirected all of that energy in a different direction. I had no health background, no one in my family had cancer. So I was in a whole new world. But then I got a job at Faster Cures, which is part of the Milken Institute. And I learned about that it takes years to get to cures and treatments and I just really started to think about what my mom was going through, what my family was going through, and how long it was taking to find answers. And I just got really passionate about it, but also really passionate about who's talking for the patients and their families, who's speaking for them. And that really became something that really drew me into the work. And then I got the privilege of working for the Biden Cancer Initiative, continuing that. And then that led to the opportunity at Smith Center. And it kind of converts all the things I love: music, arts, but also equipping people with the tools and resources needed to go through the cancer journey. And that really spoke to me when the opportunity came about. And so I jumped at the chance.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. We have a similar motivation. In fact, my mom was diagnosed with cancer and my eldest sister as well, and really serving as advocate for them, having to help them navigate that very, very painful journey is what led me to creating the Love Letters to Our Bodies project. So I do understand there are many resources that are available, some readily available, some not so readily available, and often many people in our community do not know about those resources. And so it's important that organizations like yours and ours exist to support people going through this process.
Yeah, it's critically important that there are community places to go. And I love that in the work, it's not just about that person going through cancer, but it's also about the family member. Like, I mean, I know I would have benefited so much from caregiver support group or someone who understood, talking to someone else who understood my like crying in the corner when my mom wasn't looking. Just like there's a lot happening for everyone, the
Yeah,
patient and everyone around them.
there is. There is. So tell me a little bit about the Smith Center's philosophy on integrating creative expression into the cancer care.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been integral to the work. Swiss Center was founded in 1996, and the founder had gone to a retreat herself when her brother had cancer and ended up at this retreat, ended up doing a lot of creativity projects while at the retreat, and saw the benefits, saw how powerful it was. And so when she returned, she was like, I want to do this. And so doing these intensive retreats became a big part of Smith Center's work, but the creativity piece has always been there. And it's just grown from just at the retreats to us offering creativity programs on a weekly basis of some kind. We have artists in residence to go into the hospital settings and bring the arts there, all for the purpose of just having there be that moment of respite that creativity can bring, that moment of peace and solace that, takes you out of what's happening and gets you connected to that inner spark that we all have that got squashed by some art teacher or somebody telling you that you weren't good. And we all have that innate spark. And that's what connects us to ourselves and to greater, sources of power and healing and hope.
You're so right. In fact, I can recall two different instances. One, I thought, wow, you can't draw because rather than allowing what was really coming through, trying to meet a specific form. And this whole process of creating art in particular is basically channeling. It's allowing universal intelligence to flow through you and express itself in some way. And so that's what I love about art personally. And I remember being in college in my freshman year, being told by my English teacher that I couldn't write. And it's been so interesting to me to actually have a whole career that focused on writing. And it's one of my passions. It's something that I love. And what I realized in hindsight is that she just didn't know how to teach, you know.
That is the truth. Yes.
She didn't know how to teach, and she was a part of that mentality that existed in the time of really kind of squashing the the passion and energy and drive of people who look like me. And so it's so interesting to see how the resilience of the spirit is that really takes you forward even in the face of those things.
That's absolutely it. And you just said it beautifully. And that's exactly what we see when people are in our creativity programs, whether it's writing or painting or poetry or We even knitting, like we call all things are art.
Yes.
And when you're in it and creating, like you're transforming yourself and it's helping you process things you didn't really realize you need to process. And you're different from where you started, from where when it's over. You've changed. It doesn't have to be, I think everyone thinks it's art. And so it has to be perfect. Well, whose definition of perfect are we using? It's what you needed to express in you, what you wanted to create. And that's the most important thing, not what your teacher or your somebody else is saying. It's yours.
Exactly.
It came out of you. And so it's special and important.
In fact, a friend who was an extraordinary artist said to me one time that you should read the book No More Secondhand Art. You know? And so that whole philosophy of letting that you come forth is definitely an expression of that. So can you tell me, for our listeners who may not be familiar with arts and healing, what it is and how it differs from arts therapy?
Yeah, that's such a great question and so important because I think a lot of people think that they're, when they're doing something that this is art therapy, especially when our artists and residents come in to a setting and offer, it's like, this is art therapy. And it's like, no, this is sort of arts and healing. This is trying to help you improve this particular moment, right? Like this experience. How do we make your day here in the hospital, your day here in infusion or radiation, your day while you're waiting for your family member, how do we make it a little bit better? And that's what those interactions are, and helping you process what's happening in the moment. When you're getting art therapy, there is a purpose, there's a clinical purpose, there's a goal you're trying to reach, like you and there's a therapy element, like there's a counseling element, there's something y'all are working toward. And music or art is one of the tools. But that's very different than what we're saying in arts and healing is just you in these moments. How do we help you? Whether it be in a hospital setting or in a community setting, like at Smith Center, like how do we help you in this moment grasp with you being a patient, a survivor, a family member? That's the difference.
Beautiful. I like that you say that because what we offer in Love Letters to Our Bodies workshop is tools that people can have practically to use. We offer mudras, for instance, that putting your hands in certain positions when you're going through infusion to help the body to integrate that more and to reduce your anxiety. So things that just help make the journey a little bit smoother, a little bit easier to go through.
Exactly. Like it's just like because you're stressed out, you're scared. And so having someone playing music or engaging you in some art project, and all of a sudden it's like you're still there, but you're different in that moment.
Exactly.
It's giving you some little bit more like resilience, tapped into that place that you can do this today. And maybe you thought I can't do this today, but maybe now you can because you've tapped into something else. Yeah.
You access that different part of yourself.
That's right.
And that part that is sort of fresh with hope and awareness and desire, that's really, really quite beautiful.
That's exactly right. We talk about our programs being life affirming, like, and we just mean in that moment, like you're in it and you're going through it. It's not, and you're like, you have what you need. You need to tap into that.
Exactly. Do you encounter any misconceptions about arts and healing besides it being arts therapy? Is there anything else?
I think we've talked about two of the most important ones. One is I'm not an artist, I can't do it, from the people involved, right? And then I think what we're finding now in the health sector, like with some of the medical institutions, I think initially there was some like, it's not important, it's an add-on that's not necessary. But I think what we're seeing now, though, is people, the medical community and hospital settings and others are seeing, wait, there are huge benefits here. And it's not just for the patients, it's for the staff as well. And we saw that a lot during COVID and what our health professionals were going through. that when we got them music or we got them when you offered some arts thing, something, it helped them with the burnout. And so there's a shift happening, but it still really boils down to why is that important? And I can't do that. I'm not an artist, right? It still goes down to those two things.
Right, right. Well, thank you for doing this important work. In the Western society, we have been in this model, the medical model, that only acknowledges itself, you know,
Exactly.
and puts everything else in some inferior position. And what we know is that when you're dealing with the whole person, is there's a lot more to that person than what the pharmaceuticals can do.
That's
And
so true. So very true.
tapping into those other aspects that are actually essential to the healing process is very, very important.
Yeah, that's why I really loved, that was the other piece that really drew me to the role at Smith Center was that we can think about the physical well-being, go for that. But what about people's emotional, mental, spiritual well-being? And if those parts of you are strong or in a good place, it'll help you with that, the physical and your recovery and what you're going through. But getting cancer diagnosis, that's one of the scariest things you could have happen to you. And then if no one's really addressing how you're dealing with that, that's really tough, which is why we offer navigation. We even do mental health therapy support. And of course, we have our creativity programming. All of that we like to talk about that we help you create your own healing basket. And you get to create what works for you and what's helping you through that journey. And we really want you to tap into all of you and not just think about the physical, which is what Western medicine only thinks about. But I think they're starting to learn, but it's a
Mhm,
slow learning.
mhm.
That's why organizations like ours are so important.
What unique emotional or psychological benefits does the creative expression offer those on a cancer journey?
There's a lot, but I think the most important ones are like it helps you, number one, it's going to relieve some of the stress and anxiety. It's going to lower the temperature. Like it's going to go away altogether, like maybe for some people, but at least it might be that you can now manage it. But then it taps you into that place of hope, some of that wholeness that you've been looking for, some of that resilience that you've been hoping, just like I think once you can sort of lower some of the anxiety, then I think that's when you can really start to manage what's happening and sort of process some of your feelings and connect in with what's happening. So that's really some of the gifts is just to hopefully relieve some of the pressure.
Do you have like an example of someone that you've witnessed have like a major transformation going through this whole process?
I've seen several things. One story that always stands out to me, a woman that was in fusion and was really in some real pain, physical pain. And so one of our artists in residence were there, engaged with her in terms of like, would you want to work on this project? And she initially said no, because she's having too much pain. And then she said, okay, I'll do it. And she got so into what she was creating that the pain lessened. The
Mhm.
physical pain like went from like she said it was like 8, 9 down to like 3 or something like that, and it was just that she started, because when you're in pain, all you can think about is the pain. But she was able to redirect while she was drawing and coloring. And all of a sudden, it was like, I don't feel the pain anymore.
That is really quite beautiful, and it really points to the power of attention and being able to use the arts to redirect attention to give the patient a better experience. Yeah, because like our brains can only focus on literally one thought at a time. And so while it's constantly processing data and sending messages and signals through various synapses, really we only can focus on one thing at a time. And so one of the things that we use, for instance, is focusing on breath. because when you
Exactly.
actually focus on breath, it also can help you with pain in terms of moving your attention away from that. And I really love the fact that she was able to become so immersed in the creative process that her pain level reduced. That's beautiful.
Like it's remarkable when you really think about that. And that's why I think it's so important that the medical community really understand the power that is
Mhm.
there in this work. And I think that's why the arts and health field is growing, because I think people are finally starting to understand that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So tell me how the creative expression helps patients to reclaim agency.
Yeah, I think there's nothing better than art to show people's agency, because you get to control the whole situation. You know, if you don't want to engage with the artist, you don't have to. If you don't want that musician to come in or that person with our program in the hospital setting, you can control that. But in any situation, you get to pick what colors you're using, you get to pick what shapes you're drawing or what you're writing. Like you control it. And so this is something that you have full ownership of. And I think that's so important, because when you have a diagnosis and you're going through all the things, everyone's sort of telling you things that you have to do or you should do or you, and it can feel like you have no control in your world. But this is definitely a place where you get to decide and you get to own whatever it is that you're creating.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, that reminded me when you mentioned again about the being told that you can't do something. I am in the process of working on a spiritual quest memoir, and
Ooh, exciting.
which I hope to get published by the end of the year. And I was in a workshop with Jack Canfield, and he said, "You are a great writer." And so to actually come from you can't write to
To
the
you're a great writer from someone who would
who
definitely
knows about
know.
that. The Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast is sponsored by Moyo Institute Incorporated, a nonprofit organization offering heart-centered educational experiences, and the Lloyd Symington Foundation, which supports visionary grassroots cancer programs. So, yeah, we have to constantly sort of tap into our own agency in all of these circumstances that we find ourselves faced with. And I'm so happy that you all are helping folks who are going through this journey with cancer to find that power within themselves to give them some control over some of the things that are happening.
Yeah, it's so important. And cancer is also a very isolating and very lonely experience. It
Yes,
can be. And I think, again, organizations like ours that help people find community with others going through it is so important. And to have supportive people in your life, not just your family, but others that care. So important.
exactly.
So important.
Yeah. What the women in the workshop say is that they like being with people who understand because they're having similar journeys. And it's like there are certain things that don't have to be explained. And, we dive into the emotional part of it as well. Like, how has this changed your perceptions about yourself? Like, what were your thoughts and feelings about your body pre-diagnosis, and now what are they? And so it's really very powerful to be able to have people articulate that, to say it out loud, to share it and talk about the difficulty that they've experienced, because again, it gives them more agency, to begin to know, one, they're not alone, and two, it's an experience that doesn't have to define who they are for the rest of their lives. It's a part of their experience, and it can be an encompassing part, particularly at specific times of the journey, but it doesn't have to be the entire totality of who they are. And what I love about what you're doing is it helps them to experience other aspects of who they are.
Exactly. That's so that's the other part that really I love about what we do, because you're not just, it's not Lisa with cancer. You're an artist today. You're you today. Like it's finding yourself back to you, which is why I love that we focus on healing. And we don't mean cure, but healing to us is finding back to yourself, finding that sense of wholeness, finding that sense of, peace within yourself, even as you're going through this really, really hard, challenging moment. And how can we help you with that basket creation for healing for you? And that's what we hope to do every day with people.
I love the metaphor of the basket. It's a really great way to think about it. Yes, for sure, healing and curing are two different things, and one can happen without the other. And I always say that, when healing and curing meet, actually, that's what we call miracles.
That's
So,
exactly right.
yeah, yeah.
That's exactly right.
So, can you tell me what creative modalities you found to be most effective for cancer patients?
That's a hard question to say which ones, because again, I think that each person is so different. So certain people, I think, defined that modality, that thing that works for them. But I will say that what we found in the last couple of years, particularly during the pandemic, our writing programs have really taken off.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been really powerful for us to see that people have really come to love our writing programs, and it's been transformative. And I think there's something, I know you're a writer, and I think there's something about that. And we give people prompts, and then people just write, and then they share them, that what they wrote, if they feel comfortable. And some of the most amazing insights that come out. And I think that that's just been a really powerful thing for us. And as always, though, the painting and the drawing, those really visual arts modalities are always really powerful. And again, I think it's because you can choose the colors, you can choose what directions you're going in, you can do whatever you want. And I think it helps you and it's fun. I think that's the other thing we have to remember, that we can still have fun even if you're going through, a cancer diagnosis. And I think this is another reminder that you're going through this, but you can still have joy and fun in your life. And the two things can coexist
Exactly.
at the same time.
Exactly. Wonderful. Wonderful. Do you have any simple creative practices that folks could use starting at home?
Absolutely. Like if you have some paper and some pencils, you can just doodle. I've gotten coloring books like during COVID. Coloring books were like saving me.
Mhm.
When I have a stressful day now, I come home and pull out my coloring book and my little pencils, colored pencils, and color for a little while. And I'm like, oh, okay, I feel better. Like it works. But you don't have to have like 9,000 art supplies and all of that. You just need some paper and a pen or a pencil, and just let yourself doodle or draw or write
Exactly.
something. I think we've made it so hard because everyone thinks that like art is hard. Just let it come out of you.
Mhm.
It's really not complicated. It's just been made complicated by artists in the world.
Exactly. And now that I know that you love coloring books, as do I'm going to send you one.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I love it.
It's really a great way to focus attention and to let something creative come from you. And I love the adult coloring books, sometimes creating mandalas,
I love
sometimes,
mandalas.
yeah, just there's a beautiful one by a sister here on affirming the queenship that we all have.
Oh, I
So
love that. I
I'm
love
going to
it.
see if I can find one of those for you. So, okay. So, all right. So let's talk about how the Smith Center adapts the arts approaches for patients at different stages of their cancer journey.
Yeah, I think a lot of that really has to, go into like what feels most comfortable, to you. And then we can modify. I think that's the great thing about being adaptable in terms of someone who's in active treatment who may just not be feeling that great. we're going to keep whatever that is really simple versus someone who's in a different stage. And so I think it's all about just listening. So much about what we have to do is about communication and listening and paying attention to what people need and what's going to work best for them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Do you all use music in your process?
We use music in our artist in residence program in the hospital setting. So like I said, we have musicians, guitarists, singers, violinists. We had a harpist, and we take that into the infusion rooms as well as the waiting areas. I want us to do more music at the center. We do some, but I hope we can start doing more because I think music is incredibly healing. We do sound healing in some of those sorts of programs, which is again, it's music as well. It's really
Beautiful,
powerful.
beautiful. Yeah, we'll have episode. We'll be featuring the power of sound healing. And you probably know Ivy Hilton. She's there in the Washington, D.C.
Oh,
area.
I know that name. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wonderful. I'll have to check out that episode. Okay.
yeah, she's going to be our guest for that episode. Okay, so let me ask you how the Smith Center makes art activities accessible to diverse communities. For those who might say, I'm not an artist, you've touched on that a bit, that people sometimes feel that way. But how does the center address that?
Yeah, I think we just try to be encouraging. We're not going to force anyone to do anything. But typically what happens is if someone feels that way, they kind of watch other people, then they're like, oh, wait, that doesn't look so hard. And they see that they're having fun. It kind of opens things up. When we're at community events, we often bring little art kits with the mandala, a little one colored with the colored pencils. We do these little kits and we'll hand those out. And so people are like, and if we have a table there, we'll say, you want to do it here. So we just try to get people to engage.
Beautiful, beautiful. So what considerations are important when making creative healing spaces inclusive for people from different cultural backgrounds?
One thing that's really important to us at Smith Center is everyone is welcome. And we really try to make sure that everyone knows that. We've recently put out a lot of calls of everyone is welcome here and listing all the different kinds of programming that we have. And I think and we also try to have diverse facilitators too, so people see themselves in some of the things that we do. And we also try to meet people where they're at and go to places where we can reach different communities and different people. We want everyone to practice art and everyone to use our programs and services because no one should go through cancer alone. And that's pretty much our motto. And we'll meet you wherever you're at.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you've already talked about working with medical institutions, so your programs are there with your artists in residence. Do you just work with a particular institution or do you work with multiple ones in terms of your programs?
Yeah, in terms of artists in residence, currently we're in 2 hospitals. We've been at times at a lot more. There's a lot of ebb and flow in the hospital systems as, the hospitals are going through a lot of shifts, but we also partner with a lot of just other community organizations, other cancer orgs. And so we have a lot of different opportunities to share programming that way. And so we're constantly looking for new ways to partner. I was just meeting with someone in one of our communities in Ward 7 about bringing some of our programs to their community center. And so, because it's hard for people to get to our location. So we're going to bring our programs to them. So I'm excited about that. So we're just trying to find any way to bring what we do to other places.
Beautiful, beautiful. So can you tell us what the current research says about the measurable impact of creative expression on cancer patients? Is there research about it?
There's so much research going on right now. I'm actually on the board of the National Organization of Arts and Health, and it's a membership organization of people across the community, whether they're people from hospitals, but artists themselves and people like me that might run an arts organization. There are degree programs now in arts and health, and there is a lot of research that is happening studying that. There was actually just a multiple city arts and community event over the summer where they had everyone fill out and answer questions. So the research from that is coming out. So all that to say is the field is growing, the research is there, and it shows that there are huge benefits to the arts in terms of helping patients with cancer and in other health challenges as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so tell me at the Smith Center how you balance the evidence-based aspects of your work with the deeply personal, subjective nature of creative expression.
Yeah, that's always the challenge. Like we know these modalities work, and the research, can back us up, but we also know that some things work better than others. And so then we really, this is where we really pay attention and follow the lead of the people and our facilitators, and knowing, this may work in other places, but that's not working here with this group. That's where we really take into heart what we're actually seeing. And then we ask our participants for their feedback at the end of sessions. Did this help you? Did you feel like you learned something? Did you feel like you learned something that you're going to be able to use again? Is this going to be a tool that you will now keep in your toolkit or your healing basket, as we would call it? And so we take their feedback as that's part of our internal research, basically. And then we weigh all that together to make our decisions.
Beautiful, beautiful. And how do you see the field of arts and health evolving in cancer care over the next few years?
I think it's going to be huge. I really do. I think that as I just shared about the national organization that I'm on, the degree programs, people are getting degrees in arts and health. It is just really growing. And I think more and more health institutions are understanding the benefits and bringing it on. And I think that's important. But I also think there's going to need to be more partnership with community organizations like ours and some of those health settings. And interestingly, a lot of governments, local and state governments, are also starting to understand that. The National League of Cities actually has an arts and health initiative, and they're working with states and the state and local governments now who are bringing this as part of their community setting and things they're doing on the local political world. I just think that the field is really going to grow.
That's really interesting that the League of Cities is actually recognizing the importance there, so that's wonderful. And I know that in large measure, these things are possible because organizations like the Smith Center have been on the cutting edge of providing these services for such a long time and really making a difference in the lives of people. So, yeah, again, I just want to acknowledge the work that you do and the work that your organization does to help advance the understanding for the whole of society as it relates to arts and health.
Thank you. I feel very honored to be carrying on the legacy of our founder and the other leaders who have led Smith Center before me. Like this is critically important work. And as I said earlier, I think, now more than ever.
Yes. So what initiatives or programs are you particularly excited about right now?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm excited about the potential partnership that looks like it's going to be happening with a local community health center that's going to be built, and us being able to partner with them. I'm looking forward to, we're actually looking at a series on end of life, which we haven't done a lot of there, but just people going through that journey also need support. So how can we support the family members there as well? And I'm particularly intrigued. I just met someone that I didn't know about that has a spa here locally that has a whole pillar of their work at the spa that's for cancer patients, Black woman owned. And so I'm really excited about finding out more about what she's doing and how we might be able to partner. I really want to connect with as many people in our local community or nationally that understand how important it is. But I feel a real sense of wanting to, just be of service. And, because unfortunately the cancer numbers are still going up.
Yes.
And, and so how can we help people that are getting this diagnosis? And I just really want to continue to be there for that. So I'm open to all kinds of things. So if you know of any interesting things or your listeners, I would love to hear about it.
Okay, let's share because I want to talk to the woman with the spa.
Exactly. I think you should. I will be, I'm going to try to go out and see it, meet with her, and she's coming to Smith Center. So I will definitely let you know more about her.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So, what advice would you give to healthcare providers who want to incorporate more creative approaches into their practice?
Yeah, I think that they should take that leap. I know it might seem scary. It may seem a little too woo woo for you, but I think you would be surprised to see the benefits for your patients and your staff. I think that's really what's getting some of these healthcare professionals is I think they're understanding that this is also what helped me and my staff because we
Mhm,
know that arts and hearing music doing we have folks that do stretch breaks, like just getting the nurses to move for a little while or some to get up and stretch and move a little music for a minute changes
mhm,
everything. So I hope that they'll understand that the benefits are great
mhm,
and
mhm,
and it will be an investment well spent to help people that you're trying to serve, and this will be an added benefit to them.
mhm. Beautiful, beautiful. As a person who's worked in the healing arts for many years, I'm a big fan of woo-woo. So
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
really happy to hear you say that. Beautiful. So, for our listeners who have been inspired by our conversation today, what resources would you recommend for learning more about arts expression at the Smith Center's work?
Yeah, well, I would say please come to our website and check out our program calendar. A lot of our programs are virtual, so you don't have to be in DC. Some are in person at our center, but a lot of them are virtual. So you could join us and come to some of the programs. And there's a lot of going on in the field of arts and health, and I'm sure there are a lot of arts and fun things going on right in your community wherever you're listening today.
Beautiful. And do you have like a final message that you would like to leave our listeners with about the transformative power of creative expression during the cancer journey?
Yeah, I would just say that if you're going through cancer yourself or your family members are, just know that there's help out there. There's supports out there. And and if you don't, get a coloring book, get some crayons, get some markers, get a journal book, just start doing something. And it's for you.
Beautiful.
It's for you.
Beautiful. And I want to say that I love that your focus is not only on the patient, but also on caregivers, on family members. And so all of these suggestions that you've made today are suggestions that can be used by members of the family to help them be more supported and feel the benefits of the arts.
When I was caregiving from afar, but when I was in Pittsburgh with my mom, I would leave our home, go to my best friend's house and cry for an hour,
Hmm.
and so I know what having a support community like Smith Center, some of the tools I now have, now that I know about, if I'd had them then, that would have meant a
Beautiful.
lot to me and helped me a lot.
Yeah. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us here today. And thank you for the work that you're doing at the Smith Center. And thank you for your beautiful open heart and your passion for advocacy and helping to make the world better for people who are here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you, Gwendolyn, for having me on the podcast and for your work. And I'm excited that we continue to partner on love letters and whatever new opportunities are coming up.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to Love Letters to Our Bodies, conversations on health, healing, and happiness. To find out more about the Love Letters to Our Bodies project, visit our website at moyoinstitute.org. That's MOYO Institute.org. Follow us on social media and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. If there are topics you'd like for us to discuss, let us know. Remember, your body is beautiful, girlfriend. Love it.